Good evening, professionals. In our 8th corporate law webinar series, we are going to discuss about some interesting topic on the Consumer Protection Act 2019. Let's get into the history of this particular legislation. Friends, we've been studying in the past as students, as professionals, we've been applying the legislation called COPRA 1986. Now, this is a new provision. Why do we have this new provision? First, let's understand the rationale behind introduction of this new legislation, which is replacing the old Act COPRA 1986. In the new era of digitalization, where all the customers are adapted to the new technology, new e-commerce platform, it is felt necessary that there should be effective consumer redressal mechanism in place for customers in the era of digitalization. Point one. Point number two, for timely and efficient administration. And point number three is for settlement of consumer disputes. These are the three reasons for introduction of this new act. Of course, there are various amendments to the old act replacing the 1986 34 years old act with the new act. We will be seeing in the next 2-3 webinar series as to what are these significant changes and why these changes are introduced, along with some interesting case laws on the subject matter. Case laws, of course, will have reference to the old provision only because the new act is as young as 1 month old, because it was just notified on 20th July 2020. And the important regulator, which is another new introduction in the new act, which is your Central Consumer Protection Council, CCPA, is primarily established for enforcement of various regulations under the new act. So that alone was introduced effective 24 July. All other provisions were notified effective 20th July 2020, and hence the case laws, of course, will have reference to your 1986. But friends, the reference is drawn to these case laws because the principle remains the same, be it your consumer definition or your service definition or the various forums, be it your national commission, district commission, state commission. They are the same. The principles are the same, only with variations and significant deviations. So as and when we see these case laws, we will also try to understand the reason for these significant changes together with the notable features to appreciate under the new act, because now we have to apply only the new act, and hence the reference to 1986 will no longer be in vogue. Having said that, the history of this particular act is it was tabled before the Lok Sabha on 8th July 2019 by Sri Ram Vilas Paswan, the Minister of Consumer Affairs and Food and Public Distribution, and then it was placed before Rajya Sabha, where it got approved on 6th August 2019. In Lok Sabha, it was approved on 30th July 2019 and received President's assent. And hence, we have this particular act in force effective 20th July 2020, friends. With this brief introduction, let's get into today's presentation. My sincere thanks to Aishwarya for this presentation. Simple legends being used and not getting into detail. This is the agenda where we will see the framework of this act, significance of the definition, rendering service, where there is only one insertion, barring that the old provisions of 1986 remain the same, except for the insertion of telecom, the provision remains the same. There, the importance of this rendering service, we will apply it in the judgment of Arvind Shah versus Kamlaben Kushwaha, where there is a deficiency in medical services and jurisdiction of various forums. We are going to see National Commission, State Commission, District Commission, 3 jurisdictions, along with a case law where the Telecom Authority is the appellant and the respondent being Mr. Krishnan, and where there is a specific law in force, which is your TRAI regulations or your Telecom Rules and Act as prevailing, then the general law, which is your COPRA, will not be prevailing. The special act will certainly have application more because of application of the principle called justum generis. The purpose of the act is to protect the interest of consumers, like how you have SEBI to protect the interest of investors. Here it is for consumers protection. And the three authorities, central, state and district level, they are established. We already discussed the rationale for timely and effective administration, settlement of consumer disputes, and for other matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. This new act has other notable significant features, which are like your mediation, where there is this particular setting up of arbitration dispute panel, more for effective and speedy resolution, more to be in consonance with the objects of this particular act, because the preamble of the act talks about effective administration, and hence you have speedy resolution mechanism through this ADR route. And then there is this particular pecuniary enhancement of the jurisdiction limits, where the authorities are established at three levels as per the purpose of the act. There is enhancement from 20 lakhs, it is to 1 crore for district. For state, from 1 crore, it is scaled up to 10 crores, and over and above 10 crores for national commission, vis-a-vis 1 crore, which was prevailing earlier. So the significant amendment again is enhancement of your pecuniary jurisdiction. So if you have particular service deficiency, or if there is any defect in the good, and if the limit is up to 1 crore, for which as a consumer you want to raise particular resolution for speedy remedy, then you can approach your district court. And if you are having any deficiency in service, which could be any service as provided in your section 2 subsection 42 of your COPRA Act 2019, and all these services, say for example medical service or telecom service, if you have any deficiency, then if it is the pecuniary limit for your deficiency is from over and above 10 crores, you can approach National Commission. So all these jurisdiction limits we are going to see in detail today, and along with that we will see the effective rendering of services. If you are not rendering effective efficient service, then certainly a consumer can file necessary action against you. And previously under COPRA Act 1986, the consumer can approach only the jurisdiction where the seller was residing, but now there is this particular operational flexibility provided to the consumer, and wherever he resides, he can certainly make the necessary complaint, and this is a big relaxation available to consumer friends. And also e-filing is available. Now digitization is provided as a key route available under various regulators, and COPRA is no exception to that, and hence e-filing route can also be approached by the consumer. And also unfair trade practices, there are severe restrictions, and product liability definition also has been introduced with lot of restrictions, and hence the businesses which are in consumer related like FMCGs have to certainly watch out for all these new changes, because for unethical trade practice or unfair trade practice there are severe penalties and offences imposed. Likewise, when there is misleading advertisement, which happens in many of the advertisements which we see on a day in and day out basis, and there again severe penalties are imposed under the new COPRA Act. Framework of the Act. While we compared the significant provisions, this Act, like any other Act, extends to the whole of India, that is the jurisdiction, except the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and it is effective 20th July. It applies to all goods and services unless expressly provided by central government, and hence central government by virtue of a gazette has to exempt certain goods or services to fall outside the purview of this COPRA 2019. This is the outline of this particular act, where we have only 8 chapters. Chapter 1 is your preliminary, like any other section or governing regulation, where you will have the preamble together with the definition section. And in our 3 or 4 webinar series on COPRA, what we are going to do is we are going to discuss the relevant items, the meaning of certain relevant terms together with the case laws, instead of going section wise or chapter wise, friends, so that it will be easy for us to apply and appreciate it in the context of the relevant terms which are used under this new COPRA Act. Consumer Protection Council, we are going to discuss as to what is the object of this particular council, and the various meetings and the procedure as to how these councils are required to function, and the chairperson and the quorum, the composition of these councils will also be reviewed. Since CCPA is the new regulator for enforcement of the consumer disputes, Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, we are going to see the jurisdiction of various commissions, be it your national, district or state commission. Mediation is again a new concept which is introduced in COPRA 2019, where you have this arbitration mechanism in place. We will be seeing that in detail. Product liability, as mentioned, this is a new concept which is introduced in COPRA 2019. And offences and penalties. Penalties are severe and imposed even for misleading advertisements. And finally, we have miscellaneous provisions. Consumer definition. You all are aware that the consumer definition under 2(1)(d) of earlier COPRA talks about both goods and services. And there again, it talks about any person who buys any goods and which is for paid or promised or partly paid, partly promised or under deferred payment also, and includes any user of the goods, and but does not include anything which is meant for resale or for commercial purpose. And again, for availing services, the same concept, which is paid promised, partly paid, partly promised, or under a scheme of deferred payment, and includes a beneficiary of service but does not include that which is meant for resale or for commercial purpose. There, the definition is retained as set out in 2(1)(d) of earlier COPRA under the new COPRA 2019 also, friends. However, the definition is widened as discussed in the introduction of today's webinar. Considering the new era of digitization, it includes your e-commerce platform as well, so that your consumers are well protected, and hence it includes both online and offline transactions through electronic means or by teleshopping. It also includes your direct selling or MLM basis, which is your multi-level marketing. So this is the only addition under consumer definition. Then we are going to see the councils: Consumer Protection Council, Central, State and District Consumer Protection Council, where the member of the council with regard to your central will be your chairperson and such other official and non-official member. And State Consumer Protection Council, it is chairperson who is the Minister of Consumer Affairs, state government, and such other official and non-official members as may be nominated by central government. Here it is putting a cap of 10, not exceeding 10, and district again chairperson with such official and non-official members. Number of meetings under CCPC, it is one meeting every year, for which is referred under section 5 of the new COPRA Act. 6 and 7 refers to the number of meetings and the object of the council under 6 and 7 of the Act, and 8 and 9 refers to your District Consumer Protection Council. You may refer later. And 2 meetings in a year for State and District Council, and the object of the council under all the 3 CPCs are the same, which is to render advice on protection and promotion of consumers under this particular Act. Now we will see the significance of the rendering services. Let's first understand the service definition. Friends, like your consumer definition, the principle, the essence of the definition services also remains the same, where the meaning and the exclusion definitions are the same. Only under inclusion, you have one new category of service which is included, that is telecom, which is highlighted in purple here for your reference. Service means service of any description which is made available to potential users. It includes but not limited to provision of facilities in connection with banking, finance, insurance, transport, processing, supply of electrical or other energy, telecom, boarding, lodging or both, housing construction. Housing construction was not there in COPRA, but it was further inserted by virtue of an amendment. Entertainment, amusement, purveying of news or other information. It excludes rendering of any service free of charge. So if you are doing something which is non-profit basis and which is only as a charity, then it is excluded from the purview of service, or under a contract of personal service. So the relationship is purely between the consumer and the person who is providing it, only under a personal service. So that is excluded. And section 51, here comes your jurisdiction, where appeal to National Commission can happen when a person is aggrieved by an order made by State Commission in exercise of the following powers, where the complaint exceeds the value, which is 1 crore, but not exceeding 10 crores, or it could be some other value as prescribed by your central government, or complaint against unfair contracts where value of goods or services is less than or equal to rupees 10 crores. Because these two are the powers as conferred to State Commission by virtue of your provision under section 47 subsection 1 subclause 1 and 2. But here, when you are agreed by the order of State Commission, then under such scenario you can make an appeal to National Commission. We are going to discuss about the pecuniary jurisdiction in our next part, friends. So here it is only with reference to the case law. We are discussing about section 51, where there is an appeal to National Commission. This particular aggrieved person may prefer an appeal before National Commission within a period of 30 days. It could be for a further period, provided the Commission is satisfied that there is reasonable justification for submission of delayed aggrieved submission, or any person making an appeal shall provide at least 50% of the amount ordered by the State Commission. Say, for example, in the order, State Commission declares as 5,000 in the court fee, then at least 2,500 shall be deposited while submitting this appeal application before the National Commission. And any appeal shall lie before National Commission only when it involves a question of law. We have studied that question of law and question of fact. So if there is only question of law, you can approach National Commission for an appeal. An appeal may lie to National Commission under this section from an order passed ex parte by the State Commission. So even if it is an order passed ex parte by the State Commission, an appeal could be made before the National Commission. Arvind Shah versus Kamlaben Kushwaha. Here there is a negligence in providing service. An interesting case, friends. Here the complainant alleged that her deceased son, aged 20 years, who was otherwise healthy, died due to medical negligence on the part of the doctor who administered some wrong treatment. State Commission awarded a compensation of 5 lakh with interest and cost. The case went on appeal to National Commission. National Commission observed that the doctor admitted to have treated that particular patient, but though he was demanded to produce the medical prescription which was given to the patient, he did not produce them for evidence on record. But the Commission concluded that the 2 prescriptions which were available on record, which the doctor denied, could have been written only by him. Those prescriptions did not mention about the proper diagnosis which was done for this particular patient. It is also observed by the Commission that Medical Council of India or the State Medical Council in their respective Code of Ethics guidelines have clearly set out the guidelines that the minimal record for patients shall be maintained. Here, the minimum facts of even the temperature, BP and the pulse rate were not noted, which was observed by the National Commission. And even if the doctor was admitting the fact that there were no medical prescriptions, the Commission concluded that those prescriptions which were available on hand tallied with that particular doctor's observations. At least some provisional diagnosis of the test which he had conducted or applied while treating this particular patient should have been recorded, which was one of the primary duties of this particular doctor. And in line with Supreme Court's decision in Samir Kohli versus Dr. Prabha Manchanda, it was held that the doctor's treatment did not help this particular problem to have been eased out and wanted to consult another. The prescription with such details is certainly necessary, even if he is going to refer this particular matter to some other doctor and the patient was not getting well treated with this particular doctor, this particular further reference can go only with the prescription on record. The prescription meeting these basic requirements would certainly assist that particular doctor also as a proof when it is claimed that there was a negligence in this particular fact. So not only for the patient to go for second opinion, even for the doctor, when there is an alleged case that there was negligence, certainly this prescription will be handy in proof for showing that there was no medical negligence. So in both cases, the prescription is vital, and also the Indian Medical Council clearly provides that even for outpatients, you may have to maintain all these prescriptions. And hence, the final order concluded by setting out that the compensation be paid to this particular claimant for 2.5 lakhs along with interest. Since the material records were insufficient to attribute this particular patient's death directly, there was a reduction from 5 lakhs to 2.5 lakhs in the instant case. So this is the importance of rendering service. So when your service is clearly falling within the definition as set out in 242, you may have to certainly ensure that you are taking necessary precautions and maintaining all the records. If there is going to be any negligence or if there is going to be any deficiency in rendering service as claimed by your consumer, you may have to certainly have all these proofs in place to claim your particular contention. Next comes the jurisdiction of various forums. National Commission, the complaints where the value of goods or services exceed 10 crores. We already noted that previously it was over and above 1 crore. It is enhanced to 10 crores. Complaint against unfair contracts where the value of goods and services paid as consideration again exceeds 10 crores. This is as set out in section 58 of COPRA 2019. And any appeal against the order passed by State Commission, which we discussed in section 51. Any appeal against the order of your central authority, where they have every right to call for these records and pass appropriate order, which is pending before or decided by the State Commission, where it appears for this particular National Commission that they have exercised jurisdiction which is not vested within their purview, or they failed to exercise jurisdiction which was vested well within their powers, or they have exercised their jurisdiction which is illegally or with material irregularity exercised. In all these cases, the National Commission shall have jurisdiction to entertain all the matters. And State Commission, where the Commission shall have jurisdiction to entertain complaints where the value of goods or services paid as consideration is 1 crore to 10 crore or such other value as prescribed by central government. We discussed this in 47 subsection 1 while reviewing that previous case. And complaints again against unfair contract where the value is less than 10 crores, because over and above 10 crore it goes to your National Commission. Appeal against the order of any district commission, like the appeal against State Commission being referred to National Commission, any appeal against District Commission will come to State Commission, of course. And here again, the powers are as set out in 47(4) clearly when there is a dispute which is pending before District Court and the District Commission has exercised jurisdiction which was not vested in law to be exercised by the District Commission. For example, the matter is over and above the particular limit of what the District Commission has authority to do so, which is exceeding 1 crore, which has to certainly come before State Commission, in which case they have exercised jurisdiction which they are ought to not exercise. And then they fail to exercise jurisdiction which is already vested within them, or they have exercised jurisdiction illegally or with material irregularity. In all these cases, State Commission will exercise powers. Complaint can be instituted in a State Commission within the limits of whose jurisdiction the opposite party or more than one party ordinarily resides or carries on business, or where there are more opposite parties and they are residing in different places. Then it could be one place where this particular opposite party, one of these opposite parties is residing, provided the permission of State Commission is granted in this regard, so that the other opposite parties do not object to this particular jurisdiction exercised subsequently, and cause of action wholly or in part arises, or complainant resides or personally works for gain. District Commission where the value is less than 1 crore. The limit enhanced, we already observed that this was in the old act 20 lakhs. And complaint, again here the same course of action as applicable for your state commission, friends. This is section 34. State commission is section 47. We will apply this in the judgment of General Manager Telecom versus M. Krishnan and another. Here the dispute was this particular respondent did not pay his telephone bill, because of which this particular telephone connection was disconnected by the appellant. The aggrieved party, which is the respondent, filed a complaint before the District Consumer Redressal Forum. And the Consumer Forum during the year 2001 allowed the complaint and directed the appellant to reconnect the connection. The appellant here is the General Manager Telecom, and to pay compensation of 5,000 together with 12% interest. Not being happy with this particular order, this particular respondent again made an appeal, which was a writ petition before the High Court of Kerala challenging this particular jurisdiction of this district forum during the year 2003. All the three, the single judge of High Court, division bench and full bench of High Court, dismissed this particular writ appeal. Hence, the appellant was before the Supreme Court by way of special leave. Supreme Court stated that when there was a special remedy available under 7B of Telegraph Act, because there is a special provision available in a special act, and hence the general provisions will certainly be not applicable in the instant case. This was the judgment given by Supreme Court quoting this particular provision of Telegraph Act. Not only the act, also they referred the rules, where under Rule 413, it states that all services relating to telephone, be it your disconnection or what is the remedy when there is no telephone proper bill payment which is made by the particular consumer, where disconnection is the power available to the authority under Rule 443. Hence, the special law overrides the general law, and also the Supreme Court referred Chairman Thiruvallur Transport Corporation versus CPC Consumer Protection Council, where it was clearly held by the Apex Court that National Commission will not have any jurisdiction on matters upon claim which is arising out of motor vehicle accidents, because motor vehicle accidents will certainly come under the specific provision which is available under Motor Vehicles Act, and hence the National Commission has no role to play. So in view of this particular judgment and view of the above referred matters, Supreme Court allowed the appeal by this particular Telegraph Authority and set aside the judgment and the order of High Court as well as the order of the District Consumer Redressal Forum, where they provided this particular compensation of 5,000 together with 12%. So this was clearly set aside by the Supreme Court order, and they further held that there was no additional order as to cost for this particular respondent, and hence it was in favor of the appellant, which was held by the Supreme Court. Friends, with this we are concluding COPRA part 1. I'll be happy to take your questions, otherwise we can conclude this session. We will be continuing with COPRA part 2 in our next Wednesday webinar series, friends. So to conclude, gone are the days where the customer was asked to beware. We have studied in COPRA 1986 about caveat tempter, let the buyer beware. Now the customer is the king. Hence, all the businesses have to be mindful of all the customer redressal mechanisms which they have in place. More particularly, all the customer related businesses, including FMCGs, have to clearly see that they are not getting into unfair trade practices or unethical trade practices, because the offences and penalties are huge. With this, we are concluding today's session, friends. Thank you very much. Take care. Stay safe.